They did Jade Cargill dirty, and I'm about to expose exactly how WWE just disrespected one of the most dominant forces in women's wrestling history. What we witnessed on SmackDown wasn't just booking, it was a calculated burial, and if you don't see it, you're part of the problem. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll understand why Jade has every right to be furious. The 9th of January 2026, SmackDown. Jordynne Grace makes her WWE debut and picks up a victory. Sounds like a feel-good story, right? Wrong. Because moments after that bell rang, out comes Jade Cargill, the woman who should be carrying this entire division on her sculpted shoulders, and she's forced to play second fiddle to someone who just walked through the door. Let that sink in. Jade Cargill, a former AEW TBS champion, an undefeated monster who carried an entire brand, is now being used as a stepping stone to make someone else look good. But here's where it gets even more insulting. While Jade has been stuck in catering, recovering from injury, and being criminally underutilized, WWE rolls out the red carpet for Jordynne Grace like she's the second coming of China. Don't get me wrong, Jordynne is talented. The woman's work in TNA has been nothing short of exceptional. She's a multi-time knockouts champion, she's believable, she's got the look, and she can go in that ring. But does that justify WWE treating Jade like yesterday's news? Absolutely not. Let's rewind for a second. When Jade Cargill signed with WWE, the wrestling world lost its mind. Here was a woman who looked like she was chiseled from granite, with the presence of a superhero and the attitude of a final boss. She debuted with Bianca Belair, and for a moment, it seemed like WWE actually understood what they had. The duo had chemistry, they dominated the women's tag team division, and fans were invested. Then came the injury, a legitimate injury that took Jade out of action. But instead of protecting her during that absence, instead of building anticipation for her return, WWE seemingly forgot she existed. And now she's confronting Jordynne Grace like she's auditioning for relevance. That's the part that should make your blood boil. Jade shouldn't be chasing opportunities should be chasing her. This woman is 29 years old, she's got the look that Vince McMahon would have built the entire company around, and she's being booked like a mid-card afterthought. Meanwhile, Jordynne gets the debut win, the spotlight, and the momentum. Here's a question for you: do you think WWE is intentionally sabotaging Jade, or is this just incompetent booking? Drop your answer in the comments because I need to know if I'm the only one seeing this pattern. Let's talk about what actually happened during that confrontation. Jordynne Grace is celebrating her victory, and credit where credit's due, she looked impressive. The crowd was into it, she hit her moves cleanly, and she got her hand raised. Then Jade's music hits. The camera cuts to her walking down that ramp with purpose, with intensity, with that "I'm about to end somebody" energy that made her a star in the first place. The two women come face to face in the center of the ring, and you can feel the tension. This should be a star-making moment for both of them. But here's the problem: the narrative is already broken. Jade is reacting instead of acting. She's responding to someone else's moment instead of creating her own. In wrestling, perception is everything. And right now, the perception is that Jordynne Grace is the future while Jade Cargill is the past trying to stay relevant. That's not just bad booking, that's character assassination. Think about this logically. Jade has every physical advantage. She's taller, she's stronger, she looks more intimidating, and she has that it factor that you can't teach. Jordynne is fantastic, but she's a technical wrestler, a workhorse who succeeds through grit and determination. Those are two completely different archetypes, and both can coexist at the top of the card. But WWE's decision to have Jade chase Jordynne's spotlight instead of creating separate, equally important storylines is lazy and short-sighted. And let's address the elephant in the room: this reeks of WWE's obsession with new and shiny. They do this constantly. Someone debuts, gets a massive push immediately, and everyone who's been there grinding gets shoved aside. It happened with Ronda Rousey. It happened with Cain Velasquez. It's happening now with Jordynne Grace. I'm not saying Jordynne doesn't deserve opportunities, she absolutely does, but not at the expense of talents like Jade who've already proven they can draw. Remember when Jade and Bianca were tearing it up as a team? The crowd loved them. They had big match feel every time they stepped into the ring. Then the tag titles got dropped, Jade got injured, and instead of reigniting that partnership or giving Jade a monster singles run, WWE's creative team apparently decided she's better suited as a gatekeeper for incoming talent. That's insulting. That's wasteful. And if you're a Jade Cargill fan, that should make you furious. Now, some of you are probably typing right now, "She's been gone 4 months, she needs to rebuild momentum." Cool story. You know who else was gone 4 months? Roman Reigns. And when he came back, did they have him confronting debutants? No, they built WrestleMania around him. I'm not saying Jade is on Roman's level yet, but the principle stands. If you believe in someone, you protect them. You build them back up. You don't feed them to the new hire. Quick question for the comment section: who would win in a straight fight between Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace? And I mean kayfabe, in ring, booked to perfection. Let me know below. Here's what WWE should have done. Jordynne Grace debuts and wins her match, fine. That establishes her as a threat. But then, instead of Jade coming out like she's answering an open challenge, you flip the script. You have Jade already in the ring, standing tall, and she issues the challenge to the roster. Jordynne answers. Now you have 2 strong women on equal footing, both looking like stars, both with something to prove. That's how you build a feud that matters. That's how you make people care. But no. Instead we get Jade reacting, Jade chasing, Jade looking like she needs to prove herself to someone who just got here. And that's the part that's going to hurt her long term. Because in wrestling, once the audience perceives you as lesser than, it's almost impossible to climb back to the top. Just ask Apollo Crews. Ask Ricochet before he left. Ask Dolph Ziggler. Perception becomes reality, and right now, WWE is shaping the perception that Jade is no longer that girl. The confrontation itself was fine from a performance standpoint. Both women looked intense. The stare down was solid. You could see the story being set up: power versus power, dominance versus determination. On paper, this should be a money feud, but the context matters, the positioning matters. And right now, Jade is positioned as the challenger to Jordynne's protagonist, when it should be the other way around. Let's also talk about timing. Jade's return from injury should have been a moment. It should have been built up 4 weeks with vignettes, with anticipation, with the roster talking about the storm that's coming back. Instead, she just shows up to crash someone else's party. That's not how you treat a potential franchise player. That's how you treat enhancement talent. And before anyone says I'm hating on Jordynne, I'm not. This isn't about her. She's doing her job and doing it well. This is about WWE's systematic failure to maximize the talents they already have before bringing in new ones. Jade Cargill should be in the title picture. She should be the final boss that everyone's trying to overcome. Instead, she's floating in this weird limbo where she's too good to be irrelevant but too misused to be taken seriously. Here's another one for the comments: if you were booking this feud, how would you do it? Would Jade go over, or would you give Jordynne the rub? Seriously, I want to know your fantasy booking. The worst part about all of this is the wasted potential. Imagine a properly built Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. Imagine Jade versus Bianca in a WrestleMania singles match. Imagine Jade as women's champion with the entire division trying to dethrone her. All of that is possible. All of that is money. But instead, we're getting Jade as the welcoming committee for new signings, and that's just sad. WWE has a history of fumbling generational talents. They did it with Keith Lee. They are currently doing it with several people on the roster. And now they are doing it with Jade Cargill. The blueprint for her success is so simple it's painful. Make her look dominant, give her decisive victories, let her talk like the star she is, and watch the money roll in. But for some reason, that's too difficult for a multi-billion-dollar company to figure out. So what happens next? Does Jade destroy Jordynne in their inevitable match and reclaim some of that lost aura? Or does WWE continue this pattern of new talent going over established stars, further cementing Jade's fall from grace? Only time will tell. But if you're not angry about how this is being handled, you're not paying attention. Drop a like if you think Jade deserves better. Subscribe to Wrestling Zone 1 for more unfiltered wrestling truth. And comment below with your thoughts, because this conversation is far from over.